All right, these guys waiting for no man, except little me. Makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside, but these guys are about to get all warm and bloody outside. ZeRo4 out of the gate, top of the map without any weapons. Will be grabbing away Mega Health, which is usually a pretty freaking risky maneuver without any weapons. But was there a shotgun possessed by Ziel at that point? I believe there was, but he wasn't able to do all that much. ZeRo4 got away with just about every single point of that Mega Health and was able to come back out and troll away a railgun. I'm sure Ziel's going to need to look at that later and go, okay, how could I have started that differently? Because ZeRo4 now has just about everything he needs. He's down by a single yellow armor, but Ziel doesn't really have a lot of armor to begin with himself, so it's going to be rail on rail. Not a lot of metagame of who has rail and who doesn't tonight. It's going to be just, well, shoot the motherfucker. And that's exactly what ZeRo4 does. 1-on-0, 50 seconds into the map. I'll remind everybody that ZeRo4 on Ray, I believe it was drastic enough to force a forfeit, what, 4 minutes in? Yeah. All right, but ZeRo4 up by 2. Let's go take a look at what Ziel has. Not much but a plasma gun at the moment. Wanting to stay on that side of the map for just a little bit longer to see if he can get a lucky grab of yellow armor. But now he's going to have to move kind of cautiously back over to middle. He's taking more rockets around the pillar. And ZeRo4 is like, this is when yellow armor shows up. Not then. This is when. So Ziel once again spawning plasma gun. And once again, is not going to have any kind of time to wait for yellow armor. He's able to troll out a few particles of plasma gun, however. A little bit of long-range damage. And this map is so brutal, he really doesn't have much of a choice but to wait here. But he knows that ZeRo4 is going to be attacking on it, and that was actually a pretty good grab, only taking about 10 points of that armor off. But that rail definitely finalizes it, and that shows the real difficulty of spawning on that side of the map and waiting for that yellow armor. Is that your exit? For one thing, he knows you're going to be there because you've been there for, 10 seconds. For another thing, it's a really shitty place to try to escape from after all. But ZeRo4 up 190 health and just over 100 armor, at least until Ziel's rockets make something else about it. And this is the first time we've seen ZeRo4 this week for a while. ZeRo4 is able to back off, coming back in. Look at the balls on him, coming back in for one more rocket. And making it 7-zip, 2 minutes, 35 seconds in. Now, second map, of course, in this best of 5 series is going to be, oh, I'm such a noob. Toxicity, that's what was Ziel's pick. But ZeRo4 is showing himself to, at least tonight, be the undisputed king of T4. Like that. Things like that. And I was a little bit dismayed tonight to learn that we don't have prizes being provided by Raptor Gaming. Hopefully in the next few weeks they do, because I was all set with their logo. I was like, oh, I'm going to pimp them up so much. I'm going to give them so many oral hand jobs, and they're gonna love it. But no, they're not providing anything tonight. But they should. All right. Eyes on the ball, right? Well, the ball right now is coming squarely towards Ziel right now. He's finally able to pick up a railgun, but at 86 health, he's having a lot of trouble just staying alive. Even those shards would have been enough to keep him alive from an errant rail from ZeRo4. But that retaliatory rail is not going to get him to the top of the map. ZeRo4 is still holding on to the exit from the teleporter, and Ziel goes, no. And here's the real shitter. The 50 health isn't available below the plasma gun. Oh, for one of the first times tonight, we see ZeRo4 walk right into a shot. Ziel keeping him weak, and Ziel having to have depended on all that health a few seconds before means that ZeRo4 doesn't have anything to recover with, except Mega Health coming up in 3 seconds. This fight will determine everything. There's Ziel with the shot, with the frag, and with the grab. And now he's got to beat Heat to grab away YA. He's got 2 seconds to make an appearance over across the map, but ZeRo4 spawning that side won't be having anywhere near the difficulty Ziel did when he was spawning Plasma Gun. The Fate's not smiling kindly on Ziel, but he's up on the frag, he's up on Mega Health. But that was a Mega Health that he needed to stay alive. So right now, his health stack isn't all that much above normal. Less so with that rocket. My God. Jeez. All right, so taking a look at accuracies here. We have ZeRo4 holding on to holding on to machine gun and rocket launcher. They're even as far as SSG goes, but when it comes down to rail, Ziel actually has the advantage. We're not seeing any more of the 80% railgun that ZeRo4 was putting out against Ray. Though that could help. That could help a lot. Jeez. So halfway through the ZeRo4 onslaught on T4, and Ziel wants to stick in it. Can't blame him. I mean, you get to go up against ZeRo4 in a grand final. That's not the kind of thing you throw away. Impressive. Though it's definitely worthwhile just watching ZeRo4 at work. Not to be a ZeRo4 fanboy, but there's a reason why he's winning, and it's worth taking a look at. His traversals through the map are very, very context-oriented depending on where Ziel is. I mean, whether he goes from bottom to top via jump pad or teleporter, usually it's at a point when he uses a teleporter where Ziel cannot retaliate, and we've seen very, very little opportunity for Ziel to damage ZeRo4 coming through the teleporter. And all of these angles, just fantastic. Was that really a rocket jump? Really? Don't do that. Ziel, you're being silly. All right, but 3 minutes, 30 seconds left on the clock. And again, this is a best of 5. T4 is such a black and white map anyway. I don't think this is exactly indicative of what we're going to be seeing in Toxicity, for example. I'm not sure what the third map was. Might have been up. Anywho, Ziel's actually playing a bit more of a bounce around the map game right now. Just wanting to mix Zero up and make sure that he won't have an easy beat on him. But you need to be doing damage the entire way, and half of those rail shots just weren't connecting, which gives ZeRo4 no reason not to just keep pushing forward and keep hitting him. But both of these guys are hitting 50% rail. Here's the difference, though. ZeRo4 has fired 26, and Ziel has fired 8. Most of those in that last minute. Traded rails, however. ZeRo4 still has, oh, beautiful rocket. ZeRo4 still has the stack advantage even off of the spawn. And for one of the first times in a long time, he's actually got to wait for armor. But at this point, Ziel could benefit highly from forcing more close-range fights in the middle of the map. And it's a difficult place to really forge those at, especially if your opponent comes in mid-tier and is throwing out rails when you're trying to catch them with rockets. But if you can, you know, find a way to enter in the mid-tier room at the same time or just shortly before ZeRo4 does, then yeah, it's a losing fight. Hug rockets are always a losing fight, but it's a losing fight where you're burning off significant pieces of your opponent's stack. And you're likely taking away a lot of health pickups at the same time. And the hidden bonus is that you might be throwing off their armor timing as well. And so I feel really bad that to say that Ziel's main chance here is to get in close and at least do as much damage against ZeRo4 as he's doing against himself with rockets. But with the stack that ZeRo4 is waltzing around with, makes it really difficult to do anything else. ZeRo4 stacking back up to 100. No armor as of yet, though the armor in the mid-tier on the other side of the map will be available at this point. And Ziel has no way to get back to it. I mean, this is one of the few times you can actually attack through the teleporter, but he's down below instead. He's still down there. I don't know why he swallowed that fly. Perhaps he'll die. But final minute, 20 on 1. But many more, you know, close range, grab a rocket launcher, get him in close around the corner shots. That could have broken ZeRo4's stride at the very least, and that is when you start to change up your game. I mean, you don't do that the entire game. You don't go, I'm going to sit with the rocket launcher in the middle of the map. No, you do that until you can get them weak enough to where you can finish them off with something else. Or, not even that, just move from that part of the map to grab away more YAs, make a challenge for Mega, really depending on the timing of the map. But that's the keyhole that Ziel really didn't find a way to fill this time around. So T4 is going to be handily in ZeRo4's domain. We're going to have to see how he holds up in toxicity. All right, so they're going to be voting it up very, very shortly. GG's called. But as these guys get ready, I know I am. And now that we're just a couple maps away from the finish of this thing, I'm going to say it. I'm going to break the mojo. I'm so happy that we haven't seen all of the frickin' network issues that we have. I mean, yes, a little bit of in-game lag, but that is so much more of a ease on my mind than the actual city network crapping out. Now it's all going to go to shit in the last couple maps, isn't it? I'm sorry, the last 4 maps. I need to be ambiguous here. All right. These guys are all readied up. I have every spot. All right, ZeRo4 out of the gate, getting a little bit of initial damage with machine gun, but that should allow him, well, not exactly the long-range draw on Red Armor, only having a rocket launcher at that point, but it should allow him to come through and do some response damage off the second yellow armor. But instead, he's dropping down low and going into hiding. He's really wanting to see where Ziel heads up at this point. Next major item to play for, of course, is going to be the second red armor, which is one of the most important in the map, one of the real tone-setting armors in the map. First one is just, you know, you spawn. The second one is a product of the damage that has come through in the initial minute. But, wow, actually, both of those items were done without any kind of retaliation, which means that ZeRo4, instead of wanting to stage a fight at Red Armor, wanted to stage a fight at Mega. And that's a fight that he almost lost out at. I mean, he was able to recover, but ZeRo4 is down to 11 health, and he's got no armor whatsoever. Ziel is able to go, okay, come here. Get over here. And that'll be Ziel up on the first frag. ZeRo4 trying to counter-strike it up behind the crates, and actually his rails almost do it. Ziel's rocket having the final word, though. That word being ow. But Ziel's not really running around with a lot at this point. It'll make the next attack on red really difficult. He's got to pick his position carefully here. In fact, he's going to be waiting it out. Yellow armor on this side of the map is going to be coming up. He's still at 12 health. He wants to get ZeRo4 in close and then run away through the teleporter while he can. Well, that worked too. He was able to get a little bit more damage off, only taking 4 points of damage himself in that place. And oh wow, there we go. We finally see the health come back up, but he's still relatively weak. And the biggest issue with that, the biggest problem, and it is at this point, I actually argue, you know, go +4 against your opponent, even though he's better stacked than you, instead of just waiting for health. The issue with that is that ZeRo4 had, what, 10 seconds, 11 seconds where he could go, oh, this is mine, and this is mine. And I don't like that so much. ZeRo4 is still very strong here. Red armor is going to be a freebie. Almost. That rail needed to connect, but a little bit of rocket splash. Enough for token damage. Traded shots, however. ZeRo4 is still the strong stack here. Mega health coming up in 1. And Ziel's not there to retaliate. And being late for these retaliations is always a bit of a problem. You can extrapolate that pretty far, actually. If you're entering it on Mega Health a second after Mega Health is taken and you go, ah, shit, where's my 1 rocket? They're exiting a good 1 second before you exit, and they're able to get to an entire half of the map that you have no access to, you know, for an entire step. And that can be significant. ZeRo4, split splash, taking a bath. But that'll tie it back up 2-2. And ZeRo4 really hasn't been dominating the yellow armors here, but he's been making it really difficult for Ziel to get anywhere near